Deeply explain the principle of letting go in Buddhism. Philosophical foundation of letting go in Buddhism. Letting go in Buddhism is closely tied to core doctrines such as anatta non-self, anicca impermanence, and the Four Noble Truths. Impermanence anicca. Everything in the phenomenal world is transient, constantly changing. People, emotions, possessions, and circumstances arise and pass away. Clinging to any of these impermanent things leads to suffering. Non-self, anatta. There is no permanent unchanging self or soul. Our attachment to a fixed identity, ego, or desires fuels craving and dissatisfaction. The Four Noble Truths. The Buddha taught that suffering dukkha arises from craving and attachment. Tanha. Letting go is the path to ending suffering as described in the Noble Eightfold Path. The meaning of letting go. Vairagya in Buddhist practice. Letting go is not indifference. It doesn't mean becoming apathetic or disengaged from life. Instead, it is releasing attachment and grasping that bind the mind to suffering. It's about freedom from clinging. Clinging to desires, aversions, opinions, and identities creates mental turbulence. Letting go frees the mind from this bondage. Equanimity upekkha. Letting go fosters equanimity, a balanced, calm, and clear mind that neither craves nor resists but accepts reality as it is. Psychological significance of letting go reduces suffering and stress. When we cling to outcomes, relationships, or material things, any change or loss causes distress. Letting go reduces this emotional turbulence, cultivates mindfulness and presence. By releasing preoccupation with past or future, one anchors in the present moment. Enhances compassion and wisdom. Without attachment, one can see things clearly, respond with kindness, and avoid selfishness. How letting go manifests practically. Releasing craving and desire. Recognizing desires and understanding their impermanent nature helps prevent obsessive attachment. Acceptance of change and loss. Embracing impermanence means accepting that loss, failure, and death are natural. Non-attachment to self and identity. Recognizing the fluid nature of self-image reduces ego-driven suffering. Forgiveness and compassion. Letting go of grudges and resentment frees the heart. Methods to cultivate letting go. Meditation, vipassana, and mindfulness. Observing thoughts and feelings without clinging, noticing their arising and passing away. Reflection on impermanence and death. Contemplating that all conditioned phenomena are transient. Practicing generosity. Giving without expectation helps break attachment to possessions. Following the Eightfold Path. Ethical conduct, mental discipline, and wisdom guide letting go. The paradox of letting go. To gain, one must first let go. True peace and happiness are attained not by grasping more, but by releasing. Effortless effort. Letting go is an active, conscious practice, but leads to effortless harmony. In Buddhism, letting go is the mindful release of attachment to transient phenomena and self-identity, enabling liberation from suffering and the realization of true freedom. It is a fundamental step on the path to enlightenment, fostering a calm, compassionate, and wise mind that embraces life fully without clinging. Analyze why stop caring leads to peace, success, and happiness. Understanding. Stop caring correctly. First, it's important to clarify. Stop caring does not mean apathy or indifference. It means releasing excessive attachment, obsession, and anxious controlling over outcomes, others' opinions, or things beyond your control. Why letting go leads to peace. Freedom from mental turmoil. When you stop obsessively caring about things you cannot control, your mind becomes calmer. The endless worry, stress, and anxiety dissolve, giving way to inner peace. Acceptance of reality. Letting go means accepting situations as they are, rather than how you wish them to be. This acceptance eliminates resistance and frustration, key causes of mental suffering. Reduced ego-driven conflict. Caring too much about being right, being liked, or winning creates conflict and tension. Releasing these ego demands fosters harmony within and with others. How it leads to success. Clearer focus and energy. When you stop wasting energy on worries or trying to control uncontrollable things, you free up mental and emotional resources to focus on what truly matters, your goals and actions. Adaptive flexibility. Letting go of rigid expectations allows you to adapt fluidly to change, learn from mistakes, and seize new opportunities, all crucial for success. Authenticity and confidence. Not being preoccupied with others' judgments helps you act authentically and confidently, traits that attract trust and open doors. How it leads to happiness. Detachment from external validation. Happiness anchored in external approval or possessions is fragile. Stopping excessive caring about these leads to a stable internal sense of contentment, enjoying the present moment. When you let go of worry about future outcomes or past regrets, you live more fully in the present, where true happiness arises. Compassion and connection. Releasing self-centered cares opens your heart to empathy and kindness, enriching relationships and fostering joy. Supporting psychological and spiritual insights. Cognitive behavioral insights. Rumination and catastrophizing cause distress. Letting go interrupts these harmful patterns. Buddhist teachings: attachment causes suffering, non-attachment brings liberation. Stoic philosophy: control what you can, accept what you cannot, the key to tranquility. Stop caring understood as releasing excessive attachment and anxious control leads to peace by freeing the mind from turmoil and resistance. Success by focusing energy on effective action and adaptability. Happiness by cultivating inner contentment detached from external conditions. This paradoxical truth is echoed across spiritual and psychological traditions and is a powerful guide for a balanced, flourishing life. Guide to the practice of letting go in daily life. Awareness. Recognize what you're holding on to. Take moments throughout the day to notice thoughts, feelings, or attachments causing stress or discomfort. Ask yourself, am I holding on because I fear loss or because it truly serves me? Journaling can help identify recurring attachments or worries. Mindful observation without judgment. Practice. Observing your thoughts and emotions like a neutral witness without trying to push them away or cling to them. This reduces reactivity and creates space between you and your attachments. Anchor in the present moment. Use your breath-body sensations or surroundings as anchors to bring your attention back whenever the mind drifts into worry or clinging. The present moment is the only reality. Attachments often live in imagined past or future. Accept what is, let go of what isn't. Practice radical acceptance of situations beyond your control. Instead of resisting, say silently, "It is as it is." This softens resistance and opens the way for peace. Release expectations and outcomes. Focus on your actions and intentions, not on controlling results. Let go of needing validation, success, or approval to feel worthy. Simplify your life and mind. Declutter physical spaces to create calm environments. Simplify commitments to reduce overwhelm. Let go of mental clutter by limiting exposure to negative inputs. Practice compassion and forgiveness. Let go of grudges, anger, or resentment towards others and yourself. Forgiveness frees you from emotional burdens and opens space for joy. Embrace impermanence. Remind yourself that everything is constantly changing. Feelings, situations, people. Embracing impermanence naturally loosens attachments. Regular meditation or mindfulness practice. Dedicate daily time to sit quietly and observe your mind. Use guided meditations focused on letting go or loving kindness. Be patient and gentle with yourself. Letting go is a gradual process, not an instant event. Celebrate small steps and don't judge yourself for setbacks. Answer questions and discuss the reality of the audience. Common audience questions and thoughtful answers. Q. How do I let go when I feel like I must control everything to succeed? A. It's natural to want control because it feels safe. But the truth is, over-controlling often drains your energy and blocks creativity. Letting go means focusing on what you can influence: your effort, attitude, and choices, while accepting uncertainty and outcomes. This shift frees mental space and often leads to better results. Q. I try to let go but keep getting stuck in worry and anxiety. What can I do? A letting go is a practice, not a switch. When worries arise, acknowledge them without judgment, like clouds passing in the sky. Use simple tools like mindful breathing or grounding yourself in the present moment to gently redirect your focus. Over time, this builds your ability to release tension more naturally. Q. Does letting go mean giving up on my goals or caring less about my loved ones? A. Not at all. Letting go is about releasing attachment to specific outcomes or expectations, not caring itself. You can deeply care and still accept things as they are, which actually improves relationships and motivation by reducing frustration and conflict. Q. How can I apply letting go in difficult relationships or conflicts? A start. by releasing the need to control others' behavior or outcomes. Focus instead on your own responses and emotions. Practicing empathy and forgiveness allows you to free yourself from resentment, creating space for healing or peaceful coexistence. Discussing the reality of the audience. Acknowledging daily struggles. Most people juggle work pressures, family responsibilities, social expectations, and personal ambitions. These often trigger stress, fear of failure, or insecurity, making letting go challenging yet essential. Barriers to letting go: fear of uncertainty and loss. Social conditioning, to push harder and never give up. Misunderstanding, letting go as weakness or indifference. Emotional attachments deeply ingrained from past experiences. Encouraging compassion for self. Remind the audience that they're not alone in these struggles. Letting go is a gradual, compassionate journey requiring patience and self-kindness. Practical steps within reality. Suggest realistic micro-practices. They can integrate brief, mindful pauses during the day. Journaling worries to release them, setting boundaries to reduce overwhelm, or simply breathing deeply before reacting. Interactive engagement. Invite audience members to share personal challenges around attachment or control. Facilitate reflection. What is one thing you feel ready to let go of today? Offer encouragement that every small step counts and contributes to greater peace. When you stop caring, everything falls into place. Common misconception. Stop caring doesn't mean becoming indifferent or apathetic. Instead, it means letting go of obsessive attachment control and anxious overthinking about things beyond your control. True caring versus overcaring. Healthy caring involves mindful attention and compassion. Overcaring involves excessive worry, fear, and trying to force outcomes, which often backfires. Why does stopping caring help reduces mental strain? When you release the urge to control everything, your mind relaxes. This reduces stress and anxiety, creating mental clarity. Frees energy. Obsessing wastes emotional and mental energy. Letting go allows you to channel energy into meaningful actions, opens space for flow. When you stop forcing things, life unfolds more naturally. Opportunities arise spontaneously. Builds confidence. You trust yourself and the process instead of relying on constant reassurance. How to practice this mindset: mindfulness. Observe your urges to over-control or obsess without judgment. Acceptance. Embrace uncertainty as part of life's nature. Focus on what you can control: your thoughts, responses, and actions. Detach from outcomes, do your best, then release attachment to results. Reflection questions. What areas in your life feel heavy because of overcaring? How might your life improve if you let go a little? Can you identify moments when stopping caring helped things fall into place? Final thought: stopping caring is paradoxically an act of courage and wisdom, a surrender that empowers you to live more peacefully, authentically, and successfully. Ask the opening question: why do we often try too hard? Does worrying help us? Why do we often try too hard? Fear of failure or loss. We try hard because we fear the consequences of not succeeding, losing status, security, or self-esteem. Desire for control. Trying hard often comes from a need to control uncertain outcomes in life, seeking predictability and safety. Social and cultural conditioning. Society often values achievement and hard work, pushing us to constantly strive and prove ourselves. Identity and self-worth. We may tie our sense of value to what we accomplish, making effort feel necessary to earn love or respect. Does worrying help us? Short answer: usually no. Why it feels helpful. Worrying can feel like preparation or vigilance, an attempt to anticipate problems to avoid them. Why it often hurts more than helps. Worrying doesn't solve problems. It drains energy, clouds judgment, and creates stress that impairs performance. Mental and physical costs. Chronic worry can cause anxiety, disrupt sleep, and negatively affect health. Better approach: mindful awareness and focused action on what you can control lead to better outcomes than futile worrying. We try too hard because of fear, desire for control, and social pressures, but excessive effort and worry often backfire. Letting go of unproductive striving frees us to act with clarity and calm, increasing our effectiveness and well-being. Present the suffering caused by attachment. The suffering caused by attachment in Buddhism, attachment also called clinging or grasping, is identified as a fundamental cause of suffering, dukkha. Attachment arises when we cling to people, things, ideas, or even our own sense of self, expecting them to bring lasting happiness or security. Impermanence and change. Everything in the world is impermanent, constantly changing and passing away. When we become attached to impermanent things like relationships, possessions, or status, the inevitable loss or change leads to pain and dissatisfaction. How attachment generates suffering loss. When what we are attached to disappears or changes, we experience grief, disappointment, or frustration. Fear attachment often creates fear of losing what we value, leading to anxiety and stress. Desire and craving attachment fuels endless craving, which keeps the mind restless and unsatisfied. Resistance to reality clinging causes us to resist the natural flow of life, intensifying our suffering. Attachment to the self. One of the deepest forms of attachment is to the notion of a fixed, independent self. This attachment leads to ego-based desires and conflicts, causing emotional turmoil and isolation. The Buddhist path to freedom. The Buddha taught that by recognizing and releasing attachment, we can end suffering. Understanding impermanence and practicing non-attachment frees the mind, leading to peace and liberation. In summary, attachment binds us to a cycle of craving and dissatisfaction because it ties our happiness to things that inevitably change. Letting go of attachment is essential to overcoming suffering and experiencing true freedom. Real-life examples: anxiety, fear of loss, over-control. Real-life examples: 1. Anxiety about work or performance. Someone might constantly worry about job security, fearing failure or criticism. This anxiety leads to sleepless nights, difficulty concentrating, and strained relationships at home. Despite hard work, the mind remains unsettled because it's caught in fear of losing status or income. The suffering arises because of attachment to success and security, causing persistent mental stress. Fear of losing loved ones. A person may be so attached to a family member or close friend that the thought of their illness, separation, or death causes intense fear and emotional turmoil. This fear can dominate their thoughts, making it hard to enjoy the present moments together. Here, suffering comes from clinging to the permanence of relationships despite the reality of impermanence. Over-controlling in relationships. Someone might try to control their partner's actions or friendships out of insecurity or fear of abandonment. This leads to jealousy, conflicts, and mistrust, pushing people away rather than bringing them closer. The pain stems from attachment to control and the illusion that one can dictate others' choices. These examples show how anxiety, fear of loss, and over-control, all rooted in attachment, cause unnecessary suffering by keeping the mind trapped in worry, resistance, and illusion. Recognizing and loosening these attachments opens the path to greater peace and freedom. Illustration. The story of Lan Lan is a young professional working hard to advance her career. She constantly worries about meeting her boss's expectations, fearing that any mistake could cost her the job. This anxiety keeps her awake at night, affects her focus during the day, and causes tension with her family because she's often irritable and distracted. At the same time, Lan is deeply attached to her relationship with her partner. She fears losing them, so she checks their messages frequently and tries to control who they spend time with. This over-control leads to arguments and mistrust, pushing her partner away despite her love. One day after a stressful week, Lan realizes that her constant worrying and controlling behavior aren't protecting her. Instead, they are causing pain and loneliness. She begins to practice letting go by accepting that she cannot control everything and that loss is a natural part of life. Gradually, she learns to focus on doing her best at work without obsessing over outcomes and to trust her partner's choices without trying to control them. This shift brings Lan more peace, better relationships, and renewed energy. People caught up in a spiral of anxiety, stress, and fatigue. Imagine a group of people rushing through a bustling city street. Each face tells a similar story. Furrowed brows, tense jaws, eyes darting anxiously at phones and clocks. They carry heavy burdens, endless to-do lists, looming deadlines, financial worries, family obligations. As anxiety grips them, their minds whirl with what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. Stress tightens its grip, making it hard to breathe or think clearly. Fatigue settles deep into their bodies, wearing down their resilience day by day. Caught in this relentless cycle, they push harder to meet expectations, sacrificing sleep and self-care. But the harder they push, the more exhausted and overwhelmed they become, spiraling further into mental and physical depletion. This cycle of anxiety, stress, and fatigue is fueled by attachment to success, approval, control, and certainty, creating suffering that seems inescapable. Breaking this spiral begins with awareness and the practice of letting go. releasing the compulsive need to control and worry and inviting calm and clarity back into the mind. Analyzing the meaning of stop caring in Buddhism. Explanation of the phrase, stop caring. It is not indifference, but not attachment, not letting emotions and thoughts dominate too much. Caring is to care properly, while concern is to care too much about things beyond control. Buddhism teaches about non-self and impermanence. Everything is impermanent, constantly changing. Clinging to something that is not real leads to suffering. Letting go of attachment, clearly seeing the nature of impermanence to be liberated. Distinguishing letting go and abandoning. Letting go is understanding and accepting. Abandoning is being discouraged or abandoning responsibility. Quote from the scriptures or Buddha's teachings. For example, mindfulness is seeing clearly and letting go. The miraculous effects of stopping worrying. Presentation of psychological and practical mechanisms. When we stop worrying, we can focus on the present work more effectively. Reduce stress, improve mental health. Better social relationships because we do not impose or control others. Real stories/Buddhist stories about letting go. The story of Buddha leaving the palace to seek enlightenment. The story of a Zen master who was still at peace in difficult circumstances. Relationship with success and happiness. When you stop forcing things, success will come naturally. Happiness does not come from possession, but from a peaceful mind. Practicing letting go in life. Practice methods. Mindfulness meditation. Observe emotions without judgment. Breathe deeply. Focus on the present. Keep a journal to identify unnecessary worries. Practice compassion for yourself and others. Practical exercises. Lead a short meditation session 5. 7 minutes focusing on letting go of worries. Invite participants to experience the lightness of not worrying. Prompting questions. Have you ever experienced letting go of something? How did it feel? Discussion Q&A and sharing. Invite listeners to share their experiences or ask questions about letting go. Answer related questions about applying letting go in life, work, family, etc. Conclusion. Summarize the lesson. When you stop worrying, your mind is free, everything will naturally be fine. Letting go is the key to peace, happiness, and lasting success. Quote, a famous saying or Buddha's teachings to end not clinging is freedom. Encourage listeners to practice letting go every day, experience positive changes.